What's going on, guys? And welcome to my review of Thanksgiving. Pardon me. Thanksgiving. A film after my own heart. Thank you so much, guys, for clicking here. I really do appreciate it. So 1 year after a Black Friday sales event goes horribly wrong, a group of friends are terrorized by a mass killer vowing to make everyone involved in that day pay. This actually started off as a fake trailer as part of a Grindhouse double feature in Planet Terror and Death Proof back in 2007 as a collaboration between Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino. There was 5 fake trailers that was attached to that double feature. In Machete, Hobo with a Shotgun, Werewolf Women of the SS, Don't, and Thanksgiving, to which 3 of those actually got made into actual movies, with Machete, Hobo with a Shotgun, and now Thanksgiving. These were these grimy, grainy, really old, grain-filled type films that were just filmed as a collaboration between Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino that looked like they were filmed on these old 1930s to 40s film reels to where you could see the splits and just the old grime. But that's not how Thanksgiving, the new film, was filmed. I remember back when that double feature of Grindhouse came out and I watched that fake trailer for Thanksgiving, I thought to myself, this would actually be pretty cool if it actually got it made into a movie. But back then, the way the trailer looked, the way that fake trailer looked, I wouldn't imagined it being filmed theatrically and done by a famous director such as Eli Roth. I would have imagined it being like a straight to VOD or a straight to video independent type film. But that's not how Thanksgiving was. That's not how the new film actually was. But there was certain aspects to that fake trailer that got put into this new movie that I actually did appreciate. And like I said, it's a film after my own heart. It is a whodunit slashy-dashy film. And that is, I'm always a sucker for. For those of you who followed me on this channel, and for those of you who knows how I feel about movies like Scream, you can pretty much bet that Thanksgiving was going to have a fan in me. And it took them 15 plus whatever years for them to actually finally make this. 15 years. Damn, where's the time going? But this perked me right up when I found out that an actual movie was coming out. That an actual movie based off that fake trailer was coming out. That being said, let's start off with the positives for Thanksgiving. If you're a fan of gore, if you're a fan of carnage candy and blood and guts, this is definitely the movie for you. They do not falter, they do not fail, they do not disappoint. There was some pretty well done creative kills in this that I would expect. Now, is this anything like Scream? No, this was more creative. Not that I'm bashing Scream, but this was done pretty creatively in terms of kills and gore and just all-out carnage that this person inflicted. Director Eli Roth, who's done the first 2 Hostel movies, The Green Inferno and Cabin Fever, I think he did a really good job. What sets those films aside from this is that Thanksgiving is a little bit more watchable. With the Hostels, especially with The Green Inferno, it's a little bit too disturbing. There's certain aspects of those films which I've seen like once or twice. It's been a while, but I remember feeling to myself, this is not really that watchable. You know, it's pretty disturbing to the point to where you only gotta watch it once or twice. You know, once for most people, twice for me, and that's all you need. But with Thanksgiving, it was actually done pretty tastefully, and it was done a little bit more tolerable, I would say. He's one of those directors that's a man of many talents. He's more known into the horror genre, though he's not that known. But he's done other films. But in terms of his horror, this is actually the first movie that I actually am safe to say that I can praise the most. It's just with those others, with the Hostels and the Green Inferno, especially with the Green Inferno, it's just a little rough around the edges. Thanksgiving is just the right amount, and he definitely does deliver on that front. Of course, this makes the second time I've watched Thanksgiving in theaters, and it just got better the second time around. I liked it the first time, loved it the second time. And I do plan on buying this on disc. I like the whole killer personification in John Carver. He was great. I really do believe that he should be right on up there with Ghostface. He deserves to be the next horror icon in terms of the whodunit scenario. This whole movie takes place in Plymouth, Massachusetts, which a guy named John Carver had discovered. And basically the killer dresses up as a pilgrim with this John Carver mask and just this whole personification of this character. I think this character has great franchise potential. I think they are trying to plan out a franchise, but in order for that to happen, we all need to go see it. And unfortunately, the box office is kind of just climbing up there, just trying to scrape on by. So every penny counts. Tell your friends, tell your family, go see it. Just go support it. This needs to be a franchise. And John Carver definitely deserves his own franchise. He was awesome. He was iconic in just his sort of way. This character deserves its own franchise. So go support it and tell your friends and tell your family. I really do hope this succeeds. I really do. We need more. I want to see more. There's plenty of jump scares in this. This is not something that I can say very often, but there's plenty of jump scares in this that actually did work. I found myself jumping quite a few times out of my seat. It really just didn't disappoint. There were certain shots to where you see the camera pan around the angle, pan around a corner, and then all of a sudden, bam, you see the killer just come right out of nowhere and then like cover up the screen with that big sound effect, the all-out shock value of those, particular moments. That worked really well, and that definitely worked for me. There's plenty of moments in there to where I was definitely satisfied, and that's definitely what you come to a horror movie for. That's definitely what you come to a slasher film for. You want to jump out of your seat, and I think the movie succeeded in doing that quite well. I like the whole atmosphere. I like the whole Thanksgiving vibe. We need more horror films in Thanksgiving. We've got some with Christmas, plenty of Halloween. I mean, that makes sense. But we need more Thanksgiving-themed horror films. I know that there's a movie called Thanksgiving, but other than Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving, those are the only horror movies I know of that's out there that's Thanksgiving-themed that there's out there. If there's more, please show me in the comments below. But we need more Thanksgiving-themed horror films. And I think the movie did really well in grasping that concept. Just the whole vibe there that this movie was taking place around Thanksgiving and just this whole holiday setting. And it made it for kind of a dark setup in some scenarios and some scenes. But I think the movie worked. I think the movie worked pretty well in that aspect. So Hollywood, give us more Thanksgiving-themed horror. Preferably a franchise to this. There were two characters in this film that I liked the most, played by Patrick Dempsey and Rick Hoffman. Patrick Dempsey, he plays the sheriff, and I think he did a really good job. I think he shined the most in this. He plays the sheriff that's trying to figure out the murders and trying to figure out what's going on. And I think he really shined in this. He did a really good job. I liked him in Scream 3. I liked him in Transformers 3, which is the only other things I've seen him in. I know he's pretty big on TV, but I like him as an actor, and I think he did a really good job in Thanksgiving. Like I said, he really shined. He really put his all into this film. And then you get Rick Hoffman, who is basically the CEO, the head of the store to where the first act takes place, where that horrible event happens. I like him. I've seen him in certain stuff. Not that often. Nothing I can think of to say right off the top of my head. But I think he had a certain charm about him in this film in Thanksgiving. He was the dad of the main character, the main girl that everything was happening to. And I think he did a really good job. I thought he played well in the part. As much as I praised the film, as much fun as I had with this, and believe me, I did, there's still some issues that I had. This wasn't perfect. It wasn't no Scream. I still think Scream holds up as the top dog of all slashers, of all meta slashers. As I dive into my mixed, I didn't quite care for our main lead character, our final girl, whose name I can't remember, and that's not a fault on her, on the actress, but I just really didn't get that strong of a vibe out of this character. That final girl, all-out feel that you want. She had her moments. She's not somebody that pissed me off. She's not somebody that annoyed me. She's not somebody that, completely took me out of the film at all. That wasn't the case here. But in some moments, she just didn't give me that badass vibe that I wanted from a final girl. It's not like I was trying to compare it to Laurie Strode or Nancy Thomas or Sidney Prescott or any of those final girl classics. I get that this girl in Thanksgiving is someone new and just someone fresh, but for the vibe that this film was going for, Again, she had her moments. She's not somebody that really took me out of it, but it's just her presentation of a final girl, it just wasn't for me. Now I know that's going to sound biased, but it's really not. It's my own opinion, and I just didn't get that strong a vibe from her from a final girl that I wanted. Again, she's not somebody that completely took me out of it. She still had her moments. She just wasn't fully for me. But she is somebody that I can get past. So as I dive into the negatives, the kids, the young kids that the story was mostly focused on, I didn't really care that much about them. They wasn't that memorable. They wasn't that likable. I found myself turned off at a majority of the scenes that they were in because I found it pointless most of the time because just the way that these characters was handling themselves, just the way these characters were presenting themselves. They just came off as douchey, as cocky, and I just couldn't get invested in them. At a certain point, it kind of made me root for the killer. Just slightly, just a little bit. There's this whole scene before shit went down and the killer started tagging them with the picture of the table scene, and that's not a spoiler, it's in the trailer. The way that scene played out itself, it just felt forced. Like the way that the characters was delivering their lines, it just felt forced and it just felt awkward. It felt like something out of a cheesy cartoon episode of Scooby-Doo. Just their line delivery just felt a bit off, and that's the thing. With most of Eli Roth's films, just like with Rob Zombie, the dialogue is weak. The dialogue does not come off strong. That's one of his weakest moments, and it's funny because Eli Roth has written and directed most of his other films, but he didn't write this one. It was another guy. He just directed it, but you think that maybe Eli Roth had something to do with the writing anyway, because it just shows everywhere. It is the weakest focus of the film. Without getting into anything, this is spoiler free, don't worry. But the killer's motive, I felt like it was a little weak. I didn't really feel that much was there. I didn't feel like it was strong enough. It wasn't as epic enough. It's just something that I never really quite bought into, even the second viewing around. So you have this killer that's offing people based on the opening of this, but whenever it gets to the payoff, to the final act, it just really didn't make no sense. It may to some, but for the level of killing that this person was doing, that was inflicting, and to the extent, it just really didn't add up. It really didn't make sense as to why they were doing what they were doing and to the extreme they took it to. I just never really bought it. I never really got invested in it. I just felt like it could have been a little deeper. It could have been a little bit more there. There just wasn't. Plain and simple, for me anyway. It was a little disappointing, but I digress. But despite all that, I really enjoyed this. This was still a fun slasher whodunit movies, which it doesn't matter how many issues it has, as long as they don't go way off the deep end, which they did not in this. Despite those issues I had, I'm always a sucker for a good slasher whodunit film. We don't get enough of them. I wasn't expecting this masterpiece with Thanksgiving. I wasn't expecting it to be like Scream level, but close. I wasn't expecting it to be like top notch. But regardless, I had a blast. I had an absolute blast. It was fun. It was gory. It was exciting. It was a happy accident. So, Thanksgiving. What was your thoughts on it? Are you a fan of this? Was this appetizing enough? Are you ready for Thanksgiving second helping? Are you ready for seconds? Or were you somebody that was just ready to toss it out the window? Leave me a comment down below and give me your thoughts. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this. I really do appreciate it. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. And make sure to click that bell icon as always so you don't miss a thing. And I will see you on the next one. Peace.